Welcome back to Comic YOUniverse, the only nerd-centric thing you need in your life. DPZ rolling solo again with another comic review. And yes, it's going to be another crossover that was sent to me by our good friend here on the channel, the Mount Vernon Kid. And it is a crossover between Django and Zorro. Yeah, Django, Zorro, written by Quentin Tarantino and Matt Wagner. Yeah, so this is officially the sequel. This is the canon sequel to Django Unchained. So that's pretty cool. It's a sequel and a crossover. Just let that sink in for a minute. Now, Django Zorro is a comic that is set a few years after the events of Django Unchained, and Django is now a full-fledged bounty hunter, and he has come across, by happenstance, Diego de la Vega, who is a little older in this comic. He's a few years older. He's not like an old curmudgeon, and I like that. Like they could have easily gone Tarantino and Wagner could have easily gone the route of, like an old curmudgeon, an old curmudgeon type for Diego de la Vega. But instead, they make him like this very chipper, very focused and very, he's still spry in spirit, is what I'm saying. Like, he's still spry in spirit, but it's very obvious that he is, been doing this for a while. So I like that. Like, they didn't go like the Batman Beyond Bruce Wayne route. They went with, like, Zorro. And it's so obvious in this book that, it is so obvious that Tarantino, when he got a chance to write Zorro, yeah, he took it. He took his chance to write Zorro. Because I feel like most of the time he was writing Zorro more than he was Django. But I don't know who did more of the writing, if it was Tarantino or Wagner. From all accounts, it looks like Tarantino did the majority of the writing, and Wagner just helped. Apparently, Tarantino wrote the comic, and Wagner just advised on the Zorro half, from what I understand. So I don't know the full extent of that, but that's what it's like. I'll go with that because that's the word on the streets, that Tarantino was the main writer of the book and Wagner was just kind of working on was doing the plot details. Was just helping out on the plot details. So that's neat. But yeah, like I said, this is the in-canon sequel to Django Unchained. And it does feel like, yeah, it still feels like some Tarantino writing in here. It is like, again, I feel like Tarantino was more excited to have the idea of writing more Zorro stuff, because there is a little more, like, you get more with Diego de la Vega, but not to, discredit the character of Django, who, in this comic, Django and Zorro are brought together, and they become, they become allies in a fight against the Archduke of Arizona, who is trying to stake a claim on the land before Arizona becomes an official state. And he's been enslaving the Native American population, as well as the Spanish-speaking population. The Archduke of Arizona, fuck this guy. You can't wait to see him die. I will admit that I will inform you guys right off the bat that this is a 7-part comic, and they do give the second issue. The second issue of this comic is all about the origin of the Archduke of Arizona and how he rose to power in Arizona. And it's really intricate. Like, this is some, like, next-level scam-type bullshit right here. And it's all told from the perspective of his son, which there are some interesting things regarding that, which I don't want to spoil. I really don't want to spoil the stuff that goes on between him and his son, and how it plays out with the person the Archduke has brought into his web of deception as well. So you'll be surprised to see how that all plays out. Anywho, where was I going with this? Anyway, but yeah, they do. I will give you a heads up that they do. The whole second issue is to build up the Archduke of Arizona and his origins and the whole game. And it does kind of like, it makes you forget for 1 second. It's like, oh yeah, this is Django and Zorro, which they show up at the end. So it was a little jarring for that, but I forgave it for it. The action is really good. There is a little blood. This is Quentin Tarantino writing a comic book after all. So, yeah, I'm, you know, expect that you're going to get some violence. It's not like over-the-top violence. I will say it's not like over-the-top Tarantino violence. It's not like something you'll see from Inglourious Bastards or what have you. But there are some scenes where I'm like, oh, damn. I do like the dialogues between back and forth, between Diego and Django. I really enjoy the back and forths between them because Django, at this point, is like a full-fledged bounty hunter, and Zorro is still putting up the fight. But Django's still like, I don't go into a fight unless I'm getting paid for it. But, when he sees all of this, he's like, God damn it, God damn it, Diego, look what you've made me be. You're making me be a goddamn hero. So, I like that. And I do like how those ideals between Diego and Django clash, but at the end of the day, they're still like, yeah, we're fighting for the same thing. Let's keep going. Let's keep fighting together. So yeah, I really did enjoy this book. I will say that I think the only flaw this has, and it's a minor flaw, and it did but it still kind of bothers me. But maybe it's just me. But in this comic, you only get a mention of Hildy, Django's wife, and he gives like a passing comment of like, Hildy is up north where she can be free, and I send the money to her whenever I can for my bounties. But this life isn't for her. So I was like, man, I feel like the whole crux of the first movie just kind of feels superfluous in this sequel. Like, yeah, the whole point of the first movie was him trying to get, free his wife. But yeah, it just feels like, with this comic, I was just like, then what was the point of the movie if he was just going to be on his own again and hanging out with Zorro? I don't know if Tarantino didn't have like an idea of what to do with Hildy in this second part, but I was like, it just kind of feels like if you were just going to have her go somewhere else, then what was the point, right? What was the what was the point of the movie if you were just going to stick her off somewhere else in the sequel? I mean, I know you were all excited to write Zorro and have him team up with one of your characters that you created, but still, like, the whole crux of that movie was, his finding his wife and rescuing her. And I would have liked to see a little more of that exploration, like, Hildy, seeing this kind of life that her husband now has, and kind of like, yeah, you're killing people for money. Not cool. And, I mean, yeah, it's mostly terrible people, but still, like, can't we just settle down? And, now she's caught up with this whole thing with Zorro and all that. That would have been neat to see. But, again, maybe that's just me. So there you go, guys. If you are a fan, if you enjoyed Django Unchained, and if you're a Tarantino fan, as well as if you enjoy Zorro, go check out this book. You will not be disappointed. I highly recommend this. Once again, I'd like to thank our friend from the channel, Mount Vernon Kid, for sending me this comic. Next comic review will be Hercules' Wrath of the Heavens, so, be prepared for that. But if you're new here, if anyone here is new watching this review, hit that hit the box for subscriptions, hit the bell for notifications, and please share with your friends and family and that random guy who follows you on Instagram about our channel, because we are always growing and we always appreciate the help here on Comic YOUniverse. But once again, hope you all enjoyed this comic review, and yeah, once again, this is DPZ, and we will see you once more in the Universe.